Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video showing you all of the products that I have recently panned or decluttered. I'm going to start off as usual talking about all of the makeup products, and then we are going to move on to the skincare, hair care, body care products, but makeup is always the most exciting, so I always like to start with these products. And generally I start with the empties and then I move on to the declutters, and that is how we are going to do it today. I haven't done one of these videos in a while because my preference is to do them bi-monthly, but the way that shakes out is that I have one video in November generally showing my September, October empties, but then my November and December empties, I don't generally do a separate dedicated video to those products. Instead, I do like an end of the year wrap up of all of my makeup empties and declutters. And so those products sort of get subsumed into that. So in that video, I will link it here, I started off the video talking about all of the most recent products. Again, I didn't have a dedicated video for them. So it's nice to have a whole video where I can just talk about these specific products, whereas that video was about all the products from the entire year, if that makes sense. So we've got a lot of products to talk about today. I am very excited. The past little while, I don't have that many makeup empties, but I do have a lot of makeup declutters. And I know I have already mentioned this in videos, but my 2024 makeup inventory was a wake-up call at the time. I was not very happy with it. Essentially, I will link my inventory series here, but when I was showing all the products and counting up all of my numbers and everything, I realized that my collection was a bit larger than I had anticipated. So at the time, I was very unhappy about this, and honestly, I kind of would have rather have not known at that time. I was like, this is not, I was not ready to confront this fact, but that turned out to be such a blessing in disguise, because now, because of that, I have been more discerning with my products, and I have managed to declutter products that I don't think I would have otherwise had my collection been like the size that I expected it to be. But it just gave me that like extra push to be able to declutter products. I did actually do a TikTok where I showed the makeup products that I decluttered in January and beginning of February. So if you're not following me on TikTok, go follow me over there, because sometimes I post stuff earlier than, videos get posted on YouTube. And I also do shorts on YouTube, so you can check those out as well. But let me start by showing you the 2 makeup empties from January, February, and then we're going to talk about all of the declutters. So it's a good update. So firstly, now this is just a sample. It might not look like much, but I find these samples, when it's like a whole bunch of shades, I find that they take so long to work through, because each one, like, yes, there's 10 of them, but each one has so little product that I need to like mix and match. And so I might get a full face out of like 3 of the different shades. So let's say the first day I'm using it, I will use up like these 3 in the middle here. But then the next day, I'm going to use this one, and that's way too light. So I'm probably going to try to mix it with this one, which is way too dark, and maybe like this one over here. It just is a struggle, and then my makeup's not going to turn out well that day. And then the next day, I have to use up the remaining 4 of these. And obviously I can't use them as quickly as I did with these. Like, I can't use up 3 in one day because they're darker shades than what suit me. So I have to do like half of this one day, and then I'll do my regular base routine, and then I will use half of this one as like a bronzer the next day. And so it just takes so long to use this whole thing up. So I think that they should do these samples by skin tone. They should have one sheet that is good for light skin tone, one for medium, and one for deep. This is impractical for everyone. There is no one who is going to be able to make all of these shades work, and most people who are not me would probably just get rid of it after they've used up the shades that suit them. But of course, you know me, I have to project pan everything, and so I used this whole thing up, and it took way too long. This was a struggle. So I'm also going to blame the fact that I didn't get too much use out of my Dior Flash foundation, the one that I'm project panning. I didn't get too much use out of that because of this. And this is the 3rd like sample sheet that I've had to use up in recent months. So nobody declutter any more of these to me, please. I don't want them. The funny thing is, the other ones that I used up, those were decluttered to me. But this one, I chose it myself. When I made a Sephora purchase, it was the choose 2 samples to get along with this purchase. And this was one of them because I wanted to try this foundation. I wanted to try the Fenty Beauty foundation. But I just need to keep in mind that I can't tell how good a foundation is from these sample sheets. It's just not enough product to be able to ascertain that. So anyways, I don't know if I like this foundation or not. I'm just glad that I finished it. All right, after that whole rant, let's talk about the makeup products that I am decluttering. Now, one of them is not even here because I actually already took that away to be recycled, but these are all the other ones. I should mention first that this was kind of an empty. This is my Merit highlight stick, and I did end up depotting this as I said that I would. I think this must have been like end of December, early January, but I have not shown it yet in a video, and I am currently working through the remaining product. I am wearing it today. It's a really nice cream highlight, but I know that the founders gave substantial donations to the Trump campaign, so we do not need to support them anymore. I will find another cream highlight. I did love it, but it's not like life or death, so I'm saying goodbye to it. But you will see like when I have actually finished the entire product with the depotted highlight and everything. So this is kind of an empty. The product that I already recycled was my e.l.f. eyeshadow palette. I loved that palette, but I told myself that it was time to declutter it because the size of my eyeshadow collection did increase in 2024, and that is for sure my oldest palette. I just needed to get it out. I did give myself a month to get some more use out of it, and I did some really beautiful makeup looks. I will say I don't have another palette that has that combination of pinks and browns, and pinks and browns are my favorite shades to wear in my eyes, I would say. I mean, I do also love yellows and orange, but like pink or brown is the more like natural kind of look. You know what I mean? Like if I'm wearing an orange eyeshadow, I have decided to wear an orange eyeshadow. But anyways, I will show you some pictures of the looks that I did. I will miss that palette, but I just didn't need it anymore. And I ended up sort of like excavating the remaining eyeshadows so that I could recycle the palette itself. I did that in a video, my like depotting type of makeup chores linked here as well. And that was super fun to do. I have never done that to an eyeshadow palette before. I know I've seen people like destroy their eyeshadow palettes. I personally have not, and it felt weird like throwing out that much eyeshadow, but it also kind of felt good and it was satisfying, and I did feel like I had gotten a pretty good amount of use out of the palette as a whole, so that was good. I think I feel more guilty throwing out products that like I feasibly could have finished, things that I could have used up and I just didn't. You know, like if it was like a foundation or a concealer, I feasibly could have used up those products and it was just neglect that led me to not finish them, so that I feel guilt about. But an eyeshadow palette, realistically, I am never going to be able to pan an entire eyeshadow palette, so that was kind of like, you know, it is what it is. No surprise there. I'm not feeling too awful about it. Very quick PSA from editing me. If you are into movies at all, I have a film podcast, and every year we do a really fun Oscars themed episode where we talk about all the movies that are nominated, which ones we want to win, which films we hated, which ones we loved. We kind of battle it out. I have this podcast with one of my friends, and we invited a third friend on for the podcast. So it's a very fun episode. I will link it below, and I would love it if you would watch it. I know this is a makeup channel, but be real time. I know this is a makeup channel, but every so often I like to shout out my film podcast because film is my true love. Okay, let's move on to the other products that I decluttered this past month, and I think the first one I have to talk about is a declutter fail. What I mean by that is I have decided, I decluttered this maybe like 2 or even 3 weeks ago, and I decided this week to pull it out of the declutter pile. It was this Hourglass lip product. I have never done this before. Okay, I know people talk about like declutter fails, or even sometimes if they temporarily declutter products. Like I know Shauna used to put aside like a little bin of makeup, hide it away in the closet and see if she missed those products or if she wanted to reach for them. And then if she felt that way, then she would bring it back into her collection. But if she did not even miss having those products, then that was a sign that it was okay to throw them out or declutter them, but I've never done that. Once a product is decluttered, it is out of my mind, even if it is not physically out of my space, because a lot of times when I declutter products, it's just like a mental declutter, and then I'll put it away into like a little bag, and maybe like months later I'll end up decluttering it to a friend or posting it on Facebook by nothing, or even throwing it out eventually and recycling the container it was in. But I've never pulled something out of the declutter bin, and I did this time. So essentially, this is a very bright lip product. It is in the shade, I don't even think it says a shade, You Can Find Me. And I used this a couple of times, and I was like, you know what? It's too bright for me. It's too coral. This is not a shade that I reach for organically. And then somehow it came to me a couple days ago, I could wear this as a blush. Like, this is not a shade that I have in my collection. And so why don't I try it as a blush? And sure enough, I tried it as a cream blush, and it is beautiful. It is so nice. It's so nice and creamy. It's a nice formula. And it is one of those blushes where it blends out really well, and I can sort of wear it like all over. Like, I have a little bit on my lids today. I lined my lips with a different product, but then I filled it in a little bit with this. And I think actually, because it matches the eyes and the cheeks, it somehow works better. Whereas before, when I was wearing like a more pinky blush, it just really clashed with the lip product. But I think this is like a nice look. Yeah, I want to keep it. I don't have a cream orange blush. Let me do a little comparison. I feel like this NYX cream blush is like the next closest thing. Okay, so this one is the Hourglass, obviously more coral and orange, and this is the NYX one. I just don't have a cream orange blush, and I kind of want one. Yeah, I think it really adds something to my blush collection, because the only orange blush that I have is in my Jason Wu blush trio, and that I have been wearing a lot lately, so that sort of inspired me to think about wearing orange blush. Anyways, I did declutter it, but I pulled it out, and the only reason that I'm mentioning it now is because I feel like I ought to explain why this is sticking around, because I did a TikTok where I said that I was decluttering this, and now I am undecluttering it. So this was a declutter fail. Let me know if you've done this before or if it's just me. Yeah, hopefully this is somewhat relatable to you. I am really liking it. I love orange on my face. I think it's really nice on my complexion. Okay, the rest of the products are not being brought back into my collection, so let's move on to those. I think we can next talk about an actual blush. This is the Cheek Freak Blush Balm from About Face, and this was decluttered to me by Shauna. I had actually almost purchased one of these myself when I was in Ulta in October. I was looking for a cream blush that was more of like a nudie, very light pink shade. And I had heard really good things about these blushes, and they also aren't super expensive. I don't even remember the cost, but you know, the price of high-end blushes is really creeping up there, and this one was not too unreasonable. And also another thing about cream blushes is a lot of them are now in like container form, cream and liquid products, where you have to like drop it on your hand, or even like the e.l.f. cream blushes and the Rare Beauty cream blushes, it's like a doe foot, I think. And then there's ones like this where it's a little stick. And I knew that I wanted a cream blush that was a potted one like this, that you could use a brush or your fingers, but it was like in a container. And there's not too many that exist like that. So I was thinking about this one. I didn't ultimately end up getting it, which I am glad about, because now I know I do not like the formula of these About Face blushes. That's part of the reason. I also don't like the shade of this. Interestingly, it doesn't even look that different from the NYX cream blush. It's very similar, but more pigmented, and again, texture. The texture just feels like it's not soft. It's not grainy, but it's like a little bit harsh. It's like, it feels kind of like a primer that I don't like. Like, there's some primers where you put on your skin and then like the way that it makes your skin feel is like kind of weird. There's like a layer. That's how it feels to me. So I really don't like the texture of this blush, but again, you can see not too far off in terms of shade, but I like the texture of this NYX one much better. So I'm guessing that if that makeup inventory at the end of 2024 hadn't turned out the way that it had, I probably would have hung on to this because it's a high-end blush. Like, you know, I haven't had it that long. Maybe I would have decluttered it eventually, but not this soon. But I am comfortable already saying goodbye to it. I'm glad that I did get to try it out though, because now I know that I shouldn't be purchasing one of these in the future. And next up, let's talk about eyelid primers, because I kind of have two of them to talk about. So firstly is this Revlon Color Stay Cream Eyeshadow. This is an eyeshadow base, but also works on its own as just an eyeshadow. However, I have never used it as an eyeshadow because I don't like the shade on me. It is this gold shade, and I have 3 of these. 2 of the shades I don't like, the 3rd one I do like, but for the 2 that I don't like the shades of, I have only ever used them as eyeshadow bases. See that gold shade? It's just too cool tone on me. I don't like gold on myself. Well, I like gold as rings, but like not as eyeshadow. I find that this works fine under matte eyeshadow, no problem, and it actually holds up very, very well as a base. The issue is that I don't need 3 of them. Like if I have 3 products that are all the same, except for their shades, and 2 of them I don't like the shades of, why am I even keeping them? Like this is not a product that I'm going to use up soon. You know what I mean? Like concealer, okay, maybe it'll take me like a year to use up, but this kind of potted product, like this will take a very, very long time. So I do not need to keep all 3 of them. So I've decided to declutter this one and keep the other 2. Maybe at some point I will declutter the second one as well, because again, I don't use it as an eyeshadow in its own right. I only use it as a base. But for now, I figured we just need to get rid of one of them. And I'm really happy with this decision. I have slowly whittled down my collection of these. I think I started with like 12 or something, and I've just slowly been getting rid of them. So one day I will only have 1 remaining, but for now I'm happy with 2. The next one is also an eyeshadow primer, but it is a glitter primer. This is from NYX. I have talked about potentially decluttering this for a very long time because I just never used it. I was influenced to purchase this by, I think Sarah Rose was the main one, but I've just heard a lot of people talking positively about this for a long time, and basically, it only works for glitter eyeshadow, so you're not supposed to use this all over your entire lid. You're supposed to use regular eyeshadow primer and then maybe do your like look if you're doing like a crease or in the outer corner. But then for the inner corner, you're supposed to apply this, sort of make sure that it stays tacky, and then put your glitter eyeshadow or sparkle eyeshadow on top. I can never be bothered to do that. Like, I don't want to be using multiple eyelid primers. I think it would be easier if you were supposed to apply them at the same time. If it was like, first apply your first one and then apply your second one. But because you have to like go through the rest of the process and then apply this, it just like, I don't think to do that for that step. So I would always forget to use this. And I also didn't feel like when I did remember to do it, I didn't feel like it made a difference. Like it didn't make things more sparkly. So before I finally decluttered it, I decided to do a little experiment. I used this on one eye and I used my Urban Decay eyelid primer on the other eye. And I took a picture after a few hours or the end of the day to see how they compared. And here are the results. This performed so much worse. Despite the fact that this is supposed to be specifically formulated for sparkly or glitter eyeshadow, it did not last. You can see the creasing. You can see that the eyeshadow was like, did not stay in place. So yeah, I'm glad that I did that experiment just to be like, even if I'm using this as it is intended to be used, like being the ideal makeup user, it still does not work. So I should have decluttered this a long time ago, but I'm happy that I'm doing it now. And in fact, I should never have bought it in the first place. I've never been a big glitter eyeshadow person. I apply sparkly or glitter eyeshadow sometimes, but not enough to have a separate eyelid primer for it. We've got a few lip products, different varieties. We've got a lipstick. Oh, that's not a lipstick, that's an eyeliner. So let's actually talk about that next. This is the Bonnie Bell Eye Define in Eggplant. And I used to love purple eyeshadow. I do not anymore. The shade is fine, but not only do I not like the shade, but it's hard to apply. Like this is very, very tuggy when I put it on my eyes, which just obviously does not feel good. You don't want to be like really having to like get in there with your eyeliner. Like, that's just too sensitive a zone. This is how I would usually apply eyeliner. See, it's like barely there. If I'm really pressing, that is when it, oh, and then it just broke it, of course. So yeah, this has been a struggle. I don't even think that I can declutter this to someone else because first of all, it's old, but second of all, like it doesn't really work. So I don't want someone else having to go through that same issue as me. So unfortunately, this is getting tossed in the garbage. I wish that I had used it more when it was still good many years back. So this is something I can feel guilty about, but at least I am saying goodbye to it for now. Slowly but surely getting out all of the purples in my eyeshadow and eyeliner collection. Let's save the exciting one for the end. This next one is from ColourPop. You can see that the packaging has not held up very well. Granted, I did used to use this quite a bit. This was one of my favorite shades. I brought this on trips with me. I don't know if I'll be able to find them, but I have pictures of myself wearing it in a few different countries. The most recent one was Turkey. On the first day, I remember I was so excited to break this out because we went, it wasn't like during COVID, but it was sort of on the tail end of when you could start traveling. It was like late 2022. And I had not worn very many lip products for like honestly 2 years at that point. And especially products like this. Like maybe I had worn like a lipstick or a lip balm or something, but like a liquid lipstick I was just never wearing because I was always wearing a mask. So it was exciting to bring this to Turkey. So I wore it on my first day, and within a few hours I was like, oh, this is like actually not great for traveling because it starts to look so bad on your lips after a very short period of time. So I do really like the shade, and I think it looks really nice on my skin tone, and even in contrast to my eyes, I found it made them pop, but it doesn't last well on the lips, and it also has somewhat dried up, so it is hard to apply. And maybe it has not really. It has a tiny bit of a scent, so I think pretty soon it was going to start smelling bad. So this was just one that it has been inevitable since that trip. I knew I was going to have to declutter at some point. This is a good one for videos because it is so like bright and vibrant, but it is a shade that I like on myself, which is difficult to find dark lip products that I think look good on me. I think I included this in my lipstick project pan. I actually filmed the introduction to that probably a month ago, like at the very beginning of the year, but I've just been waiting to post it. So if in my next video you see that I talk about this being in my lipstick project pan, you will know that since then I have actually decluttered it, unfortunately. But hey, getting my dark lip collection down slowly but surely, even if through decluttering, which I'm fine with that. I'm fine if some of those products have to get decluttered because I don't like dark lip products anymore. So they gotta leave at some point. And of course, this I cannot pass on to someone else because of the type of product that it is, unfortunately. But it's also too old anyways. I would not feel comfortable doing that. The very final product that I decluttered this past month was this KVD lipstick in the shade Russet. Beautiful product in terms of its packaging, but I just don't find that this wears well on the lips. It's one of those products where when you apply it, there's just like a really big gap on the inside of your lips where your lips rub together that doesn't stay covered in the product, and so you just always look like you have this like mouth hole, and it doesn't look good unless you are really frequently reapplying it. I don't know, it's like too brown for me. I actually like brown on my lips, but the combination of like purple and brown is not good. So I used this a few times. Again, this was one of the lipsticks in my dark lipstick project pan for 2025. You will see me talk about in that update. But after, I don't even think it took that long. This was maybe like 3 or 4 days of using this, and I was like, okay, I want to say goodbye to this. I wish I liked it more because the packaging is so beautiful, and because it fit really well in my in this thing. I used to have it. Oh, I think it was here. Yeah, you know, just like I like that these were pretty much all black, but as I have been decluttering my lip products or panning them, this has slowly changed. So that I'm saying goodbye to, and I put this Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in there instead, and it's not quite the same, but it's fine. This is the thing, I have this like certain idea of my collection and like the way that it looks, and I get sad when I have to declutter pretty things, but it is for the best. So those are all the makeup products that I panned or decluttered over the past 2 months. However, we still have to talk about the non-makeup products, the hair, skincare, makeup products. So let's move on to that. I'm a little hungry, so I'm gonna have a snack and then BRB. Okay, let's move on to all the other products. You know what, let's touch up the lip. I, in fact, had an entire lunch. All right, that's a little bit too bold now, but it's fine. I do have one more makeup related product, but it is a brush. So I didn't think it should be included in the prior batch, but this is the e.l.f. stippling brush. And I have not used this in years. This used to be my go-to brush for cream blush, and now this is the one I use. This is from Sonia Kashuk, and you can see it's a lot denser. I would say like fairly similar in terms of size. Well, this one's a bit wider, but like this is just a much denser brush. It also works for foundation. I used to use it for foundation. This is just, it's not enough. Like it's just so, oh, it's kind of dirty because I have not used it in literal years, but it's just, I need something more dense for a blush brush now, but I have such vivid memories of using this with my Maybelline, was it called like the Bounce Blurry Blush or something like that? Like the one that was like a cushion, kind of like a sponge. That's what I used to use this for, and I just don't use it anymore. Like I don't see a way to fit this into my routine. I still think that this would be best for cream blush, but I just prefer this, so there's no point in keeping this one around. It's in decent working order, so I could probably pass this on to someone else. It is one of my very oldest brushes. I've had this for so long. I think I saw it on my vanity the other day, and I was like, why do I even still have that? Like I can easily say goodbye to it and I would not notice, because I have not noticed this for years. So that feels good. I do actually think that I need maybe 2 more makeup brushes. I just realized like I watch a decent amount of makeup tutorials on like YouTube and TikTok. There's a couple brushes that I do feel like I could really use them in my collection. They're not needs, but like I'm definitely interested in having them. So before we even start thinking about that, I should declutter the brush collection that I already have. Okay, this multi-peptide eye serum. This is actually a product that I had intended to include in my project pan, and then I either forgot or there was just so many products that I was like, I don't need more, / I already had a skincare product. Oh, I totally forgot about that. I have another empty. All right, well, I'll go grab that after. But I had another skincare product in my project pan, and I don't like to include more than one skincare product, so I did not include this. But I finally finished this. This was in my 2024 project pan, I believe. You know, it took a little longer. I finished this in January, but I'm glad that I got it out. I don't think I will be repurchasing this. I just didn't see a difference at all with using this. I probably could have done some experiments, like try to use this on one eye and not the other eye for a month, but I just kind of wanted to get it out because I have so many skincare products that I don't feel particularly strongly about, so kind of just want to move them out of my collection. But I do have a friend who, I think I posted about this one time, or I like shared a picture of it to friends at some point, and she was like, oh, like so glad you have that. That is one of my favorite products. I find it makes such a big difference. And I was like, how? Like what difference does it make to you? So I'm sure some people it works on, however, not on myself. Or maybe I just don't have like dry under eye bags. I mean, I have eye bags, don't get me wrong. You can definitely see them, but that's never been like a big insecurity of mine, so I just don't think I pay super close attention to my eye bags. And the other one that I just finished, where even is it? One sec. So this was a skincare product that actually was in my project pan. This is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow PHA and BHA Pore Tight Toner. And I did like this, but it took me such a long time to get through because I did find that sometimes my skin would react to it, especially in like these areas. Like my cheek and cheekbone and like close to the eye area, and that's like a significant portion of your face, you know. So I would use it just sort of on my forehead and around my chin the past week or so just to get it out because I did not want to aggravate my skin again, but I did want to make sure that it was finished for my most recent project pan update and of course for this video. So I finished it, but I will not be repurchasing it. I'm just glad, again, to have another skincare product out that I don't care that much about. Because I still have a bunch. I've got one more BHA, AHA type product. Then I've got a skin mask. And then I've got squalane. And I think that's it. So all those products I want to use up, but I didn't want to use them while I was using this because, again, my skin is sensitive, so I can only really use one of this type of product, like acid, at a time. But now I can move on to those. So that will be great. So those are out. Thank God they were so small. Imagine if they were bigger, how much longer it would have taken me. Ugh, I'm scared with those other ones because they are a lot bigger. I also used up this face mask this past month. Oh, that's upside down. It is the Glam Fox Retinol and Collagen Serum Mask. My mom got this for me. It was a present. She actually got me two, but I did it with my partner because I thought it would be fun for us to do them together. And this was one of those ones where it's like, you know, there's like face holes. It's like a sheet mask. And the pictures of my partner are so funny. He was excited about doing this. I like suggested it to him. He was like, oh yeah, that would be fun. Like I didn't expect him to actually want to. But then as soon as I put it on, he was like, oh no, I don't like get it off, I don't like it. And I'm like, no. Like I used up one of my masks on you. You are going to enjoy it. You're not going to throw it out right away. Otherwise I would have just used it up myself. I thought it was fine. I did find it really like slipped down my face quite a bit, but you know, it didn't seem that different from other face masks that I've used. He didn't like it, so you know, if that helps. I will not be repurchasing these for myself, but if I get them as presents or someone declutters them to me, I will use it. This was a Korean brand. I think I've heard of Glam Fox, but I'm not positive. Anyways, I just thought that was fun to mention. Hopefully he will let me share the picture with you because it's so funny. He was so unimpressed. I also used up this little eye awakening gel. I totally forgot about this. I think this was decluttered to me by Shauna, maybe, or maybe it was a sample from like, I don't know. I honestly can't remember where this came from, but I used it up and I thought it was fine. Again, didn't really make a difference. It does feel weird now to not have like an eye step. Like when I'm going to bed, most of the time, the only product that I use on my skin is my moisturizer. I don't have a separate eye area product, and I don't always use a like toner or acid. So that's kind of weird, but that again just feels pointless to me, at least at this point in my life. Maybe as I age, I will find that makes a difference more. I don't know. I've got a few nail polishes that I've decided to declutter, but before we talk about those, let me just briefly mention this hair conditioner. I'm so glad to have finished this because I'm finally getting through my hair conditioners. The issue was that for a while I was tinting my hair red, and so I had a red conditioner and that was all I used for over a year. And while that happened, my back stock of conditioners grew. I got some from like hotel rooms. One was a present, another was the Sephora birthday gift. So I just have quite a few conditioners and hair masks that I'm finally getting to work through. I mean, this is a small bottle, but seeing as I only wash my hair like twice a week, it took a while to get through. Like this probably took 2 months-ish to finish. So I'm glad to have that out. I think this was from a hotel. Made in Turkey. So this is quite old. I just hadn't used it until recently. Nail polishes that I'm decluttering. In early January, I was at my parents' a few times, and every time I go there, I try to find stuff to declutter. So on that trip, I found some nail polishes and also some clothing to declutter. The clothing I have already dispersed to like clothing swaps, and the nail polishes, I will probably post these on Facebook Buy Nothing because I don't know, I feel like if you have like Essie or OPI or like higher end nail polishes, maybe you could try to post those on Buns or Curate. I would not bother trying to sell them, but for like Elf, LA Girl, NYC, and Maybelline, like I could just give these away. I don't think anyone is going to see monetary value in them. But I've got 5 that I am decluttering. This one is Mystic Green, although it looks more like grayish. And I think I actually have 2 of these. Not a shade I reach for a ton. I don't like cool tones, and that's obviously like a silvery gray shade. This other Maybelline one is Wined and Dined. I just have other dark purple nail colors like this. and I don't feel like I need another one. Then we've got this LA Girl Rockstar. I had this on for about 2 weeks recently, and it actually lasted fairly well. It was a better product than I anticipated, but I had to cut my nails recently. As you can see, they're quite short because I play violin and I'm in an orchestra, and we have rehearsals starting up again, and so I can't have long nails. I mean, I could still use nail polish, I often do, but yeah, the day that I removed this nail polish was the day that I cut my nails. And I also didn't find that this was like the best shade on me. I don't know, I just don't love blues as nail polish on myself. This New York Color Quick Dry nail polish, this is a hot pink. I don't find myself reaching for hot pink too often, but when I do, I have a couple of other ones. I more often reach for like lighter shades of pink, and I don't remember this being a good quality nail polish at all. Lastly is this e.l.f. one. This was never used, still got the packaging on it. It was in the shade Champagne. This doesn't look like champagne to me. This is like a reddish shade. I actually have a similar one, I think. Yeah, this Essie one in Stitches. Like, I would say these are fairly similar, you know, and because it's like a new product, I might as well pass it on to someone else while it is new, and I don't love the shade that much that I feel like I need it. So those are the 5 nail polishes that I managed to declutter. I have quite a few nail polishes here, and I also still have quite a few at my parents', even though I have been moved out for 4.5 years now. So that's not great, but that's just the state of my life and how much stuff I have. And just a few other quick mentions. This was the Hello Sparkling Peach deodorant. I love the Hello toothpaste. I find that's a really good one, but this I did not find worked super well. It left like a white, I would almost call it like a white cast. You know what I mean? When you apply deodorant and there's like white bits. I want my deodorant to be clear, to not leave marks on my clothing if possible. It had a pleasant scent, but I didn't find that it lasted that long, and it is one of those like aluminum-free deodorants that you understand why people don't like aluminum-free deodorant, essentially. So this will not be a repurchase. And then lastly, this is not even really worth mentioning, but this was just a hand soap container. I had been using the Blue Land hand soaps for a while, the kind that you like immerse it in water and then it's like a tablet. You immerse it in water and then it makes soap. The issue with that is that you're supposed to buy their like foaming soap containers in order to use them. And I did not want to buy another hand soap container. Like, I already have a pump, but the pump we have is not a foaming one, and you need a specific foaming pump, which I just think is dumb. So my friend gave me her old foaming hand pump, and this is what we've been using for quite a while we've been working through those Blue Land hand soap thingies. It's tricky because I don't think that they are the best. Like, they're not my favorite soaps, but for sure they're the most sustainable option. So right now we're just using like a Canadian, I think maybe like organic, vegan, cruelty-free hand soap, and it's like a big thing so we can refill it, but again, that's still not going to be as good as like these little tablets where they don't have to ship the water, like the liquid, and the packaging it comes in is compostable. So I like what Blue Land is doing. I just wish it was like a bit better. Hopefully in a few years that will be the option that we go with, but for now, yeah, my partner just was really tired of those soaps and we're both happy to be using a different soap now. So that was everything. Oh, I'm not getting rid of the Essie nail polish. Thank you so much for watching. This was a really long one, so obviously I'm not going to be talking about a book that I have been reading lately, but let me know what you thought of all the makeup products that I decluttered this month, and also the nail polishes. That was quite a few. I feel like usually the first update of the year has a lot of declutters because the end of the year, you know, that like big end of the year declutter that everyone does. So I will not have as many declutters next update, that's for sure, but hopefully I will have more product empties, especially makeup empties. That would be great. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week.